Hi guys, welcome to Daniel TV English. Thanks for dropping by and thank you in advance for liking my videos and for subscribing to my channel. In this video, we will learn about the concept of communication. Here we go. Let's start with this question. What is communication? Communication is the process of giving and receiving information between a human source and a human receiver using words, symbols, or actions. Right. In this video, we will only focus on the communication between humans and not with animals because we know for a fact that animals can also communicate with each other. But for this video, we will only focus on the communication between humans. So here we go. We have four types of communication. Number one, we have intrapersonal. Number two, interpersonal. Number three, public communication. And number four, intercultural communication. Now let's start with intrapersonal communication. So what is this? It is communicating to oneself. In short, this is the way you talk to yourself. Examples include repeating a song. So if you like to sing for yourself or simply repeat a song, then that is communicating to yourself. We also have mental planning. So when you want to think about your plans for today, for this week, for the upcoming days, that's mental planning. Okay, you don't have to tell others about your plan. So you're going to talk about yourself, about your plans for today and for the next days to come. That is intrapersonal communication. Other examples include writing a diary, memorizing out loud, and daydreaming. Your favorite is daydreaming, I know. Right? So there, those are the examples of intrapersonal communication. And remember, intrapersonal communication involves only one person, and that's you. So you are only talking to yourself and not with others. To discuss this more, we have here additional information. It says here, in intrapersonal communication, you have the opportunity to explain yourself, including your motives and actions, against your values, and allow yourself to make adjustments to your behavior based on what you think is best. So, in short, this is about reflecting. So, you reflect on your life, maybe, or on the actions that you have done, and then you decide if that's wrong, if that's right, okay, and then you're going to take action. So it's more on reflecting and contemplating. Next is interpersonal communication. So what is this? This is communication that involves more than one person. So of course, this is in contrast to intrapersonal communication, which only involves one person. For interpersonal, we have more than one. Okay, so we have examples of interpersonal communication. Number one, we have dyad. Okay, dyad is communication between two people. Okay, so it involves two people talking to each other. And we also have small group communication. Okay, so small group is communication between three or more people. Actually, a maximum of around 13 or 15 that is already um, considered small group communication. Okay, there. Now, to discuss further, we have here additional information. It says here, in a dyad, the possibility of clarification and feedback is maximized because the interlocutors are focusing on one topic. Since you are talking to only one person, then that means that there is a limit. You can limit the topics that you are talking about. And clarification is maximized because you can clarify misconceptions immediately. Because anyway, um, no one will be able to interrupt the two of you talking, right? So you can freely talk to each other you can clarify misconceptions, you can give feedbacks immediately. Okay, so that's that's that makes the communication easier for the two of you. This is mainly applicable to those people who are talking about serious matters, like best friends talking about their secrets. Okay, so you can clarify, you can give feedback, okay, and you are focused on one topic only. Next, in a small group, the possibility of focusing on the topic is lessened because participants may say something that is not very much connected to the topic. Yes, it's true, right? In a small group, since you have more people involved, then the possibility of focusing on the topic is already lessened. It means that there are there are people in the group who might interrupt one another. Okay, and sometimes their topic is not connected already. The questions are not connected to the topic that the whole group is supposed to be discussing. Next, we have public communication. What is public communication? It involves communicating to a wide group of people with varied traits, background, interests, and persuasions. So this is more than a small group communication. This is more than small group communication because it involves a lot of people. For example, a person is making a speech, okay, in front of an audience. So it involves communicating to different group of people with varied traits. It means you don't know where they come from. You don't know them personally. They come from different backgrounds, so you have to be careful. Okay, that's public communication. This is popular among politicians and seminars, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so here are the things that you have to keep in mind for this type of communication. So, public communication requires a lot of background explanation in expressing the speaker's ideas. Why is that? Because you have to take note, the audience is composed of a lot of people coming from different backgrounds and different levels of thinking. So, you need to explain everything. Okay, you have to be clear. Next, this type of communication avoids specialized language such as jargons and slang. Yes, you need to avoid jargons and slang because these jargons are not understood by all people, and even slang. So, as much as possible, you need to use formal language for public communication. Next, it requires the speaker to avoid topics or discussions that is understood by a few people. So, this is in connection to the previous bullet, okay, about jargons and slang. So, aside from jargons and slang, you also need to avoid things that are not familiar with the audience because you will only confuse them and it will only include a few people. So, it means it excludes those people who do not understand the topic that you are talking about. So, to be safe, just choose a general topic that can be understood by all people. Next, it avoids any comment that may be prejudicial to any particular group of people. There. Yeah, I think you need to avoid using foul languages and words that might hurt a particular group of people. We don't want people to hate us, right? Okay. And here, next, it limits the opportunity for feedback and clarifications due to the large number of participants. Yes. So it is hard for the audience to give feedback or ask questions because there's just too many people. Actually, in a seminar, I think they have an open forum, right? In a seminar, we have an open forum, maybe at the end, usually at the end of the seminar or the speech of the speaker, so that it will allow us to ask questions in a very systematic way. Other than that, in other public communications, open forums are not available. So there it really limits the opportunity for feedback or asking questions and clarifications. Okay, next we have intercultural communication. It is the exchange of concepts, traditions, values, and practices between and among people of different nationalities and ways of life. So, from the word intercultural, it means it involves people coming from different cultures or from other countries. Okay, there you are. And here are the things to keep in mind for this type of communication. It requires the speaker to be very careful and engage in a lot of clarification. Why? Because, as we all know, your audience is composed of people coming from different cultures. They might not be able to understand the things that you are talking about. So, as much as possible, you have to be clear and use a general language. You need to be very careful. And next, it requires the speaker to minimize contextualization. Contextualization is something like you are going to talk about things that are only understood by other people. Yeah, so it's connected to the first bullet, which um, which talks about the speaker being very careful in delivering a speech. Okay, so when it comes to contextualization, you have to be careful, okay, on the things or the topics that you are about to say. Make sure that these topics are in general to avoid miscommunication. Next, the utterances must be understandable outside any context. So see, it should be general. Because if not, if you will only address your speech to a particular group of people, then it will defeat the purpose of delivering a speech to different kinds of people or people coming from different cultures. Next, it requires the speaker to avoid language such as metaphors and other figures of speech. Yes, because there are also metaphors and figures of speech that are only applicable to one particular group of people. And it's not true to all. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. Hmm? And to discuss this more, we have here an additional information. Intercultural communication may require the groups of people involved to speak in a language of wider communication, usually called a lingua franca. Yes, that's true. A lingua franca is the common language that most people use. Okay, so for example, here in the Philippines, when we talk about the Philippines in general, so we have the national language, which is Filipino language, right? But for some other provinces, for example, in the northern Philippines, here actually in Baguio, um, in Baguio, our lingua franca is Ilocano, or we also have Filipino. So those are the languages which are very common to us all. So when you're going to give a speech here in the north, then you can use Ilocano or Filipino because that's the language that people understand. If you are a politician, then you must know this one too, right? You must know your people, the language of your people. And there you are. So those are the types of communication. So let's review. We have intrapersonal communication, that's talking to oneself. Interpersonal communication, it involves more than one person. Public communication, okay, that's speaking to a group of people. And intercultural communication, which involves people from other cultures. Okay, so there you go. I hope you learned something about communication. If you have any questions, you can just comment down below and I will try to answer that during my free time. Okay, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. See you next time.